Hey, what's going on everyone? Welcome back to another Starcraft Broodwar Remastered Laddercast. Today I have a best of 3 series for you between Snow and Sharp. So we start our series on the map Roaring Currents, also known as Screaming Seas. And by the looks of things, we're going to have a very interesting start because Snow is sending his scouting probe out here to do something cheesy and unusual. And I've still done so few games on this map that I don't know what cheese options you have aside from just the regular sort of proxy stuff. So let's see what he has in store for us. Okay, so it's a pylon over here, presumably a gateway and some zealot harassment. Sharp, who is my sort of absolute favorite Terran player. He's just such a monster. It's so fun to watch, so good, so creative. I'm not going to say something cringe like he gives me chills because that's just not me. But yeah, he's just a really cool player to watch. He's just very, very good. I've seen games of his against players that I have a lot of respect for, like Lava and Snow, and others as well. And he just seems to always be in the running and can put out some performances that can just blow you away. I think he gave Soma a real hiding in a game that I cast recently, and I thought, geez, like this guy, he is good. Alrighty, so now that I've glazed him up like there's no tomorrow, he's probably going to get his ass kicked. But there we go. That's just kind of how life works, isn't it? Alright, so has the good news. Hi, I see you're cheesing me. Nice to see you. And Snow's like, ha 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 ha, or however he does his thing. We all know that. So yeah, let's see what happens in Cheeseland. We're going with a double Rax response to this. Snow does also with a little bit of micro actually kill the scouting SCV. So Sharp's got no idea what's happening behind this, but he is making a depot wall of sorts, making another Rax behind this too. So it's going to be some kind of commitment to Marines to deal with the inevitable flow of zealots. So I think keeping an eye on the zealot health bar and the Protoss units that'll be running around the base is probably the best approach to this. We'll have to see. And another zealot shows up. So hang on, if we hit control here, we should be able to pick up both of our zealots. Shift. Shift, sorry. Okay, so I can get the health bars on both my zealots, even though they're running around like crazy people. He is having some good fun here. I'm sure another zealot's on his way. Here he is! Shift. Number 3. Sharp is not having a good day. That Marine was not supposed to... was not supposed to die. Oh, damn it, I lost focus. I was supposed to be looking at my zealot health bars. He's got 3 kills. The other 2 are dead anyway, so... Bleak times. Bleak times, bleak times. Back to 2. Back to 2. We've gone core behind this. Has Snow, because we've got a Dragoon in production. There is our 7 core. And we are making a proxy robo as well. So this is a serious commitment to a 1 base all in. And the gateway is going to die before the goon pops out. No, it's not. Goon pops out, to then basically get wrecked himself. So Snow is making a gateway in his own base, I'm assuming. Yes. Running away with his Dragoon. I want to know if Sharp's going to try and counter pressure. I think it would work well. He's got like 7 Marines here, and Snow has got nothing. And no gateway. The gas deal, of course, was a part of this. Why are you being intimidated by a single Dragoon? Explain yourself. So he's making goon and going for range. making a shuttle. Are we going to make a rebar? Is the question. Bunker on the way. So potentially going to stabilize after what was a pretty wild start. Although I do find myself wondering to what extent is Protoss in a position to stabilize. Support base on the way, so we're going to get a Reaver drop. Yes, on the way. Could well see an expansion. We already do. Floating a bit of money shop. His build really obviously was screwed up by not being able to get any gas. What kind of dance is this Dragoon doing, bro? Damn. That's like 4 whiskeys neat kind of shit. That's awesome. Range nearly finished. Extra gateways here. So as all in can be, this barracks is about to come and discover the good news. Should from that be able to spot, and there we go. It does go. Ah, alright. There goes the Reaver. Whoop, up it goes. Yeah. What damage is he going to get done with his Reaver, and what does Sharp have to fight against this Reaver? Is the question. Yeah. Yeah, okay, I think the answer is nothing. Anyway, that was funny. Okay, so game 1 is over in this best of 3. Let's move on to game number 2. Okay, this time we're on another fun map, Litmus 1.1. This double gas, weird back entrance, mineral glitching 2-player map, which obviously encourages these players to try and test all sorts of interesting builds, variation, tricks, cheeses, and the like. So we had a cheesy opening, or a cheesy game from Snow in game number 1. Looks like he's making a pylon here so that he could potentially make a gateway on the low ground. We'll just keep an eye on that. I think he's sending out the probe quite early to do the gas steal, which on this map wouldn't make sense. So I'm actually going to question myself, which I do a lot, by the way. I think it's a sign of aging, and I am now old. I just turned 40 a little while ago, so this is me questioning my own sanity, wondering why you would do a gas steal when there are 2 gases available. So what are we going to do? We're just going to harass, we're just going to scout, we're just going to be painful. Who knows? It's PvT fun on Litmus. Snow versus Sharp. How good. What a wonderful way to spend time. Enjoying this brilliant game of Broodwar with 2 beast players. So good. It's very Aussie, by the way, to say so good. You've got to learn all the Aussieisms while you are here. Alright, so Zealots should be inbound shortly. There's no point building it on the low ground if you don't want to make the Zealot, so that's happening. And yeah, I think Sharp will be expecting some pressure and harassment and pain from his opponent, Snow. So S versus S. Chasing away the scouting probe, which Snow wants to try and keep alive. Zealot, who could have been on attack command and then changed it to move. I'm not sure. Another Zealot is on the way, so it's definitely going to be a decent amount of Zealot pressure. Can't imagine he get too much done, because you can see he's on track with his timing for his factory, and therefore the Vulture will be out pretty soon. Keeping an eye on my Zealot health bar again. Second Zealot is on the way. I can spot him on the minimap. Killing the SCV that's making the factory is annoying and is good value, good damage. It's just swapping them, which is very, very good. And his buddy, Bob number 2, is about to arrive. And Bob number 2 is pretty healthy. So we'll keep the health bars on both the Zealots. Starts to run away. Dragoon on the way as well. So just looks like an aggressive opening from Snow, although the Vulture is out. The Dragoon though will happily fight the Vulture. And the Vulture can only take one more hit. That's the end of the Vulture. And that's the end of 2 of the Marines. Sending a scouting probe just to confirm nothing weird is happening. Second Goon along the way. And I think... Oh no, we've gone range before expanding. Again, a very aggressive approach from Snow on this map. You do see more one base opens, delayed expansions on Litmus. And again, I mean, if you're sharp, what do you do here? You need to wait until you got a tank. So he's getting mines, he's getting a tank. Once the tank comes out, second factory on the way, I mean, he should be able to push this back pretty easily. Snow does expand behind this, so we are getting a transition from him, which you would expect. So you want to try and target down this tank. Goons all just seem to be firing on different things. Does seem very keen on getting this tank, but shooting up the hill. I was on Bonnet's stream yesterday. It does get it eventually. Nicely done. Shooting up a hill though. I was watching Bonnet's stream yesterday, and I think he counted 11 missed shots out of 14. 2 Dragoons trying to kill a tank on a upper ramp. Yeah, it's just mega painful. Okay, so we have got 2 gateways on the way, but we are in essence only 1 gate range against 1 tank and 2 Marines. I don't think this is going to be much of a threat for someone as good as Snow, especially with the 3rd Dragoon popping out. So he may actually end up regretting this shot because this tank is very red. Although mines are going to be a big difference maker. He actually gets himself that Dragoon as well. That's really good from Sharp. This gateway now creates actually a natural little sim city here. Really hopes he doesn't trip this mine. Now suddenly we're at... Ooh, hello. Oh, both those Dragoons desperately red but still alive. And now suddenly Snow is in a... Oh no! A very awkward place, especially with that mine tripping. We do have an observer in the production tab, but looks like vultures are going to get in the house. And this game is suddenly looking pretty good if you're a Terran fan. Oh, that's a nice little block off there, but it's not stopping him from getting kills. Surrounding him with the probes here, which is very good. Oh, even more mines. Definitely an element of Snow's game that I have, to my mind, formed a view he is not as good as he could be. And I'm speaking in general. His general tightness around harassment from vultures, leaving, you know, gaps in his base, losing workers, definitely not as good as others. Like I mean I cast quite a few BC games. I don't see him losing as much to harassment as what Snow does, just in general. And Sharp not letting up pressure here at all. Just absolutely unrelenting. Snow all the way down to 19 workers here. This is just catastrophic damage. Does lose the worker. How? How did this pop up and not trip? It's nuts. Okay, well he's now got a decent number of Dragoons. So with his observer he should be able to sweep the mines that are there. And then what does he have at home? Just pretty much mines. A couple of tanks. 1 tank on the way. So potentially a small window here for Snow to counterattack. I think he senses that as well. What happened to the rest of his goons? Okay, he left a couple at home just to block against run-bys, which is smart. I can't accuse him of being no good at this, and then he does something smart and then not at least acknowledge it. So nicely done for sure. One lonely little marine in the bunker. Now does have a companion. And I think he's just going to force repair here for a while, especially considering siege is kicked in. Kind of making me wonder why he doesn't move this tank a little forward just to try and blast these guys away. Another tank, this is perhaps the one that's going to siege up in range. Sieging up ahead of the mines, interestingly. And just loses that tank. Very sloppy from Sharp. Just going to elongate this harassment and give Snow potential to play himself back into this game, although if we are realistic with ourselves, he is very, very far from it. 6 SCVs appearing non-stop around the clock. Sieges up on the high ground, and that'll be enough to push them back. Okay, so where are we? 30 plays 50 workers. I'd have to guess his strategy would be to get some Reavers in the game, and as I say that, I do click on the robotic support bay. It does have good visibility from the observer. There's no turrets here as of this stage. Armor is on the way, so transitioning into his game, there's one turret, and I expect he may make one here in the natural as well. Snow's taking a third. The only chance he really has of playing himself back into this match is if Sharp basically leaves him alone and he's able to take a whole massive bases, have 1 or 2 decent trades, and then find himself getting back into the game that way. Expecting the Reaver, we can see preemptive mines being laid as well. So here we have one of those. So I was doing a Bisu versus Queen game before this series, and I was saying that one of the things I was thinking about when returning to casting this year, because this is the second day that I've been doing a couple of games since I returned from my overseas trip. I was thinking, what can you do during the lull periods, you know, where the game is quiet, there's literally, you know, nothing happening. And you know, I thought to myself, one of the things is you can tell stories, you can give sort of general tips and advice about stuff that you're experiencing in your own life or things that you've just recently done. Ugh. Okay. Oh, he loses so many. He loses 2 goons and gets so much splash damage. I think it is an attempt to distract though. I don't know. I mean, as good as his micro is, and it is outstanding, I think just Sharp is so ready for this. Funny note, like I was saying all that, like now that I have the opportunity, I don't have the, like I've got nothing on my mind specifically to talk about. Okay, yeah, I'll share one with you. But now what's going to happen is there's going to be like an action spot here. Let's see. We have speed in our shuttle. We have a Reaver. It's getting a nice spread here. It's the same turret. Could get the academy too. Oh, now we're in the mineral line. Now we're in the business area. Nice pull though. How he moves that Reaver back so quickly. That's really impressive. Where's that going? She's like went all the way around to hit those SCVs. So it's getting some damage. Worth mentioning though that Sharp has decided, I don't really care about your Reaver. I'm sending my boys across the map to counter. He's destroying shitloads of workers though. So Sharp's kind of gambling here that he's going to do enough damage that it won't matter how much damage this Reaver does. Goliath now. How many did he get? Kills. I'm not going to get to see how many kills he got, am I? The natural's just about gone from snow. I'll show you how long he kept that Reaver alive. So the natural's just about evaporated. Here comes the third, which he has a handful of dragoons to defend. And a wall for pylons. Not trying to come up here as of yet. Sort of denying, breaking down sources of income seems to be the way to go. But it is very much looking like we're heading into a decider, guys. I will share my story about something that I observed on my trip to South Africa at the start of the final game. So stay tuned for that. Trying to do it with a Reaver. One lonely Reaver. Can he do it? That's a lot of goon juice, bro. Don't think you can. Alright. Game 3. Let's go. Okay, so our deciding game is on Dominator. A 3-player map that I don't actually get too many games on. I have done a couple recently enough to have a good sense and feel for the map. But yeah, here we go. So we are doing a forward pylon again as snow. And we will keep an eye on what Sharp is up to. Okay, so the thing that bothered me when I was in South Africa this time, that is different to all of the times before, is the poverty. Now, obviously, having grown up there and spent most of my life there, I was always surrounded by poverty, but I think because you live there, you're less sensitive to it. You don't notice it as much. It becomes normal, you know? Like, so if I could give you the opposite comparison, the scenery in Australia is very bland compared to South Africa. So where I'm from, there is a lot of beautiful mountains, winelands, greenery, amazing beaches, amazing coastal towns. Everywhere in South Africa where I grew up, the scenery is just outstanding. The scenery in Victoria, where I live in Melbourne, is pretty bland by comparison, right? So when I get back to South Africa and I'm there for the first time in a long time, I'm blown away and reminded of how incredible the scenery is, right? So if you use that kind of scenario, the thing that you're used to experiencing on a day-to-day basis, when something extraordinarily different or opposite, polar opposite to that, happens, or you see that, it strikes you so much more. So I'm not surrounded by much by way of poverty living here in Australia. The standard of living, the quality of life, unemployment, it's all vastly different, right? So in South Africa, unemployment is about 50%. So 1 in 2 people don't have a job. In Australia, unemployment is just more than 3%, I think it is. It does obviously fluctuate and what have you, but say it's between 3 and 4% on average. So people here flourish generally a lot more than people in Africa. And there are literally millions of people in South Africa that are living on or below the breadline. So when you get fetched from the airport, you drive on a highway, and both sides of the highway are called informal settlements, which is basically what we would call in local lingo shacks, which are these little tin houses which can barely fit 1 or 2 people in them. And they span for miles and miles and miles, and you drive past this highway, you get through all these so-called shacks, and you then get to the massive mansions where the other half live, you know, the haves and the have-nots. And yeah, it's crazy when, you know, you have people that are domestic workers. They either do gardening or they do cleaning for the wealthy people in South Africa. And they tell stories of how there are gunshots when they are sleeping at night, and how their friend went to work and then was stabbed for her cell phone and just left for dead, you know. And it's just, I think what happened to me having gone back this time is that poverty was just so much harder to see. And that's probably the first time in my life that I really battled to see the struggles of others. And it impacted me a hell of a lot more than it would have in the past, because I was living in the country and sort of, I guess, had my own struggles. And so burdening myself with other people's struggles didn't make sense to me. Anyway, we've had similar open from Snow, putting in pressure around about a 28 Nexus. Same sort of open from Sharp. He got his factory, got his vulture, he's got his mines. Robo coming in behind this, ranged pressure on the bunker. This map Dominator does actually lend itself to drops, so I won't be surprised to see both players employing drops in this match. It also lends itself to some pretty exciting macro games. It's massive, there's heaps of bases to be taken. So let's see, I did an Autosis game on this map where he played against a Protoss player. And just because of the sheer volume of bases that are available to take on this map, you know, the Protoss player managed to play his way back from quite a big deficit and still win the game. So we will see to what extent Sharp tries to limit the macro power of Snow in this match, if it does go long and become a macro game, which for PvTs is really pretty fun. You know, you get the big fights and the big swings and the contesting for bases and the trades and the micro and the things. The shuttles are always fun. The storm drops, the zealot bombs, reavers, which if we are watching a Snow game, you would expect to see. As I say that, we've got a 6-minute 25-second support bay finishing up, and we should be seeing reavers enter the fray very shortly. Sharp's just taking no prisoners though, so as much as Snow is putting on pressure, Sharp is very nicely absorbed and then applied his own counter pressure, and that's definitely been a theme of the series that I've very much enjoyed. Nice job as well to evade the mines there, and I think we'll probably take a roundabout way back to his natural, and then we will keep an eye on this shuttle, because that's going to be key. Mine placement here is massive from a Terran point of view, because it gives you a little heads up that the shuttle is on the way. So let's just track this shuttle's flight path. By the way, if you don't know in the replayer, if you want to follow a specific unit how to do it, you just right click on it. You have to then click on something else for it to stop, which I have done just to demonstrate this. So once this, we'll keep an eye on the minimap, and if nothing else seems interesting, we'll just track the flight path of the shuttle to see what it does. It's waiting for the Reaver, and then I expect the Reaver will, the shuttle will add a zealot or two to it, and then we will see some drop action. Go grab your zealots. There you go. Hello, fellas. Okay, so we'll track that. Has sent a scouting SCV over here, just to see how many bases and where Snow has or hasn't expanded to. We can see he's expanded to the mineral only here for his third. I think Sharp here confirming no fourth has been taken, and just generally confirming the location of all of Snow's bases. Okay, so the siege tank is here waiting. Why are you attacking the... I don't know. Does get a scarab off. That scarab's gonna dud. Yep, that's nothing happens. Another scarab, no, that one didn't dud, but it killed an SCV, which was busy with the academy, so a little delay. Pretty minor stuff, nothing too exciting there if you're a Snow fan. A couple of shots on the Reaver there, and off he goes. So, aside from killing 2 SCVs, really didn't get much done there, did he? Oh, where did that shuttle get to? Actually lost track of it, didn't I? Where are you, Mr. Shuttle? I have you selected. Ah. You went to go fetch a second Reaver, did you? Okay, well, that's fine. Fair enough. Fair enough. Do you think? 2 Reavers is better than 1, apparently. Gonna clear off some mines. There's no secrets, though, yeah. Like... Sharp's good at this game. He is sharp, if you forgive the pun. So, he knows what's cooking, man. Okay, we're gonna try and kill some depots by the looks of it. He's keeping this Reaver firing until he gets fired on. He picks it up, gets out again. Now maybe you want to pressure the natural with these goons. Nope. Okay, I think he's behind this, going to look to expand to a 4th base location. All of Sharp's tanks have now come forward. You can kill a bunker with 2 Scarabs, potentially. Oof. Backs away. So trying a bit of a smother style here is Snow. Gets a free vulture. Not trying to move any further forward than this. This is a little bit of a... what could be described as like a holding pattern. Oh wow. We didn't react in time there, so loss of the group. So there's that +1. Gets rid of that observer. So there's no expanding to a 4th base location here as well. Another shuttle, wow, okay. So double shuttle this time. Let's see what we can get done. Alrighty. 4 zealots, 2 reavers, 2 shuttles. Sounds like a setup for a bad joke. So a bit of harassment here. Let's pick up a few free probes. Definitely got himself a depot too as well. Always scary to watch that. Okay, so we didn't keep an eye on this all the time. We did see a little bit of Red doing some counter harassment there in the interim. He has supply blocked him into next week. Killed a lot of depots there. It's just really annoying. It's going to slow down the production of Sharp. It's going to have him banking up some money. That really does have a very, very big impact on the game between middle to late. So nicely done by Snow. I think that's going to have a big impact. 1, 2, 3, 4 bases. So the 4th is up and running. It's going to probably go up to about 65 probes or so. That seems to be his sweet spot. And I won't be surprised to just see an explosion of blue. This is something that I think people underestimate about Snow's game and why he's so good at PvT is when he gets to this stage of the game, he stops attacking, harassing. He does try and delay the Terran's expansion. Ooh, the amount of stuff he loses to mines is still just unbelievable. He does try and delay the expansion of the Terran. So this one here, he wants to try and delay the establishment of it. But behind this, all he does is he just mass expands. And he keeps moving his army around. He's got good observer placement. He knows what Terran's up to. But he uses this facet of the game to swell very quickly from 4 to 7 bases. And if you're not Terran moving out onto the map, trying to shut these bases down, the macro engine that Snow is able to build, almost regardless of the unit that he plays with, is pretty much unstoppable. So he's going again. He's not going to let up on this double shuttle Reaver harassment style. So let's see what he can get done this time. Does pick up a tank. But the short answer there is nothing. And I think that this harassment now has run its course. It's time to expand. So here is that 5th base. So as I've said, you've got to keep an eye on the number of bases that he builds in the next 3 to 4 minutes, because this is where he wins so many of his games. And the good Terrans, they know this. They are looking to get active with their army. They're not looking to just camp around. Once their 3rd base is established and they feel it's secure, they'll leave a minimal amount of tanks here, and they'll send little hit squads around to contest for bases. Even with lower upgrades, You kind of wait for 2-1 and off they go. And if you don't, what happens is base, another base, another base. Just seems to be what happens. So he ran away with the Reavers. He didn't actually, this got 10 and 5. He didn't actually commit fully there. I think that's pretty good that he kept those Reavers alive. Should be able to defend a couple of harassed spots like this one. So Sharp is being active with his vultures just to determine exactly how many bases Snow is taking in this phase of the game. So this is the style, ladies and gentlemen. It is the Shuttle, Reavers, High Templars. It's such an antithesis to Gateway Man because you require spellcasters, you require 2 robos, you require unrelenting production of shuttles. You've got to be able to micro the drops of the Zealots, the High Templars, the Storm. It's not just a moving gateway units. But that being said, the macro engine behind this, so you use this composition so that you can trade effectively with the Terran, and then your fallback, I guess, or your guardrails, if some of your trades don't go too well as Protoss, is that you've just got stacks of bases, stacks of additional gateways to reinforce. There are only 2 main bases on this map, right? So getting this base here, like Snow has, is huge. And so what do we see from Sharp? He's moving out. He understands. His win condition is to go contest for this base. So we have units converging from all areas. We'll just kind of zoom out to get a good view here. So small pod of units here, small pod here, and lots of mines in between the two. I don't think this is going to go too well for our Protoss. He's surrounded. A couple of storms. Storms kill a lot of the mines. But you can see he's trying to run away here, and I don't think he's going to be allowed to. There's a bit of a flank, though, from the top side. But those siege tanks are just too many and too strong. So it does back away. And you can see now Sharp, for the first time, goes into a supply lead. And this is what we should expect to see. Just constant contesting for bases. Lots of storms. He will fight toe-to-toe for as long as he's got Zealots. And then after that, I think we should see him back away. I won't be surprised to see him concede the odd base. So Cannon should just take care of that. So this base is toast. He knows that. So he needs to reinforce in taking this natural here as well. Going to need to reinforce this area. Knowing that eventually Sharp's army is also going to start to move northward. So Sharp's actually accumulating a little bit of money. I think he's missing a few macro cycles here. Perhaps that's the one chink in his game. He's not as strong on macro as some of the other pros like Best, Bisu. And there's obviously some Terran players like Light as well that are very good on their macro. And that guy, Flash, if you've heard of him, apparently he's okay as well. Alright, so base denied. Vulture's coming in here to spot another vulnerable area. Snow's army is so far away from here. I mean, in terms of the crow flies, it's close, but in terms of accessing it, it's freaking far. So clearing off a few mines, sending some units here as well, a couple of cannons. So Snow's spreading himself quite thin, but to me, still very much in control of the game while he has the number of bases he has. Sharp using his map control, to take another base of his, and I think he's going to be in a pretty good position to be able to defend that. There is about a 40 plus supply gap. In fact, I don't know if you were watching the supplies as I was talking about that, but he went from 160 to 197 almost in the blink of an eye. That's just the number of gateways he has, and that's the macro engine that I was describing earlier. Just you can reinforce at such a clip. It is scary. Even if you don't trade all that efficiently, you'd have to trade, you know, at a massive deficit for this macro engine to have no impact on the game. And you know, with the micro he has, with the spells, the shuttles, etc., his trades will always be semi-decent. So does defend the harassment on this, keeps the Nexus alive. We'll probably add a few more cannons. It's not a great location to defend, but it's also a Terran base, right? So like that's kind of the rule of thumb. If the game's going to go long, can the one opponent get the base that the other opponent should in theory be getting? This should definitely be a Terran base, and the fact that he's taken it is going to have definitely going to have a bearing on this game. I suppose in theory this should be a Terran base as well, so he does get this one, doesn't get this one. So if you split the map in half, then those are the bases that the players will be contesting for. That will have a big impact, because in terms of untaken bases, there's one here and that's it. Every other base on the map, oh, and this one as well, although that was taken and has been mined to some degree. These split map games are fun when every single base gets taken, but generally speaking, if Terran's able to split the map with Protoss, Protoss will lose. If Protoss can get an additional base or base and a half, then Protoss will win. Obviously there's factors like how quickly you're able to mine compared to your opponent, and how quickly you're able to spend your money and reinforce, and there's efficiency and economy and a whole bunch of other premises that of course play a part. But if we keep it simple at a very high level, it is a game just about maths. So Snow is... well, Sharp is moving around and they're having a little skirmish here. Army's kind of spread around. There's something here. There's a random trapped unit over there. Even happens to the best players. Army at the natural. Some units spread a little over the show, for sure. Both players max up, and now we can see suddenly the player that's banking money is Snow. And that's, like I said, the number of bases, mining bases, definitely going to play a big part in this game now, because for every trade Snow can remax. Doesn't have any money issues, doesn't have any gateway issues. Does lack a little bit of love though for this lonely pod of units. Using the opportunity though to put some pressure here on a base of Sharps. Sharp does have a decent number of units here, and these goons are tripping over each other, as does tend to happen in this wonderful game. So I think you should be able to fend this off without a problem. This is not re-establishing, this base is here. It's trying to establish this final untaken base, and I think that's going to be significant. If Sharp can establish and hold that, I think that's going to be his win condition. If Snow is able to block the establishment of that base, that's going to be his win condition. Alrighty, so Snow wanting to put some pressure on this second main and reinforcing hub of our Protoss. And I think Snow is gathering up some units to contest this, and he's probably going to try and do it as a flank. Yeah, he's a flanker, ladies and gentlemen. Look at him, flanking away. Flanky, flanky, flanky. And there's just not quite enough Terran here to get the job done, so this is going to work nicely for Snow. Going to push all of this back and re-establish control of this part of the map, which is very, very, very big, because now his opportunity to go and, for example, knock this down is just so much easier. Does re-establish this, albeit there's very few minerals left. couple of vultures harassing. Okay, so here is his first attempt to harass this base. I don't know, based on the flight, how the shuttles flew there, if he actually knew that this was already established. I'm not sure. Actually, I have my doubts there. Because that was not very snow-like, if that's a term. I don't know. We'll just make it one. Okay, so we have zealots. And while we have zealots, we will move forward. Now, I think he's going to get up here now. That 40-50 supply deficit is now starting to prove significant. And Snow with that reinforcing power can just make so many zealots. Still making Reavers at this stage of the game. Sharp is going to try and defend this base, not floating the command center as of yet. Just kind of going toe-to-toe with the units that... Oh, here comes some more. I do wish there were more stats available to you as a observer of StarCraft games. So, 2 stats I'd love to see. Units that die to mines. Units that die to storms. And workers killed, full stop, in a match. Like, that would just be, in terms of KPIs, and trying to understand why somebody won or lost the game. Some of these additional metrics would just be massively helpful. Well, this isn't going to be established by Terran, that is. So Snow taking this base. It looks pretty fresh. I don't think anything has been... this has been established once and knocked down. I think he's going to re-establish it. And it's also going to pressure here where there really isn't that much left. So Sharp's kind of being spread from pillar to post. That's the other powerful thing about having 2 mains, is Protoss tends to always have armies in 2 halves of the map. So these little militia pods can just get so much done, and it really does pull the much slower, clunkier, less agile tanks from north to south. And you can get a lot of them done in the meantime. That Storm definitely gets a decent amount of SCVs, perhaps not as many as it could have. So this base has successfully been knocked down. As I mentioned earlier, that was going to be huge within the context of the game. Snow, sensing that he had a lead and keeping that momentum going, does also now push this bottom base, and Sharp is able to defend for the time being. Okay, so it looks like we're going to have another convergence again. This time it looks like Snow wants to target this base. And we are kind of seeing that now as the theme of this match. What's next? Who's next? Which base are we taking down? Ooh, some decent storms here. Very nice. So 167 plays 120, but the problem is that Snow has got 4 times as much money. So he can go from 140 to 200 in a macro cycle. It's nuts, but that's the power of the engine. I think I've said that probably too many times now. I think you guys get it. It matters a lot. So harassing a base that has no probes at it. Not a total waste of time, but then again, not the most valuable thing to be doing. Mining out in a few spots, but I mean, there's just plenty of options to resaturate for sure. Alright, so once again, we are trying to establish this top right position. And once again, Snow is applying the squeeze. I don't know if Sharp is going to have enough to repel him this time. There's just waves and waves and waves and waves of Protoss coming across the map. Yeah, once again he has to lift off. I think this command center is toast. Oh, that was a very, very nice storm there. Picked up a decent number of ACVs along the way. This will go down. If he has any spare storms, he's killed easily 12 ACVs in this attack. And this command center is also going to be eliminated. And that's really been it. It's been a very, very solid macro win. And as I've described many, many times before, I think this is the secret sauce. I mean, yes, the Reaver micro is good, and yes, there's lots of other cool things that Snow does in this matchup, but at its core, he wins because he just gets so many bases that it pretty much makes him unstoppable. Yes, the micro, yes, the other fights, yes, the smaller nuanced things as well, but at a fundamental level, he just gets much, much, much more money than the opponent. I mean, just have a quick look at the resources before we wrap up. So he mined 25, nearly 30% more minerals. And 30% more minerals and 25% more gas. As much as it's a known thing that Terran trades more cost effectively than Protoss, this is just a deficit that is too much to come back from. So a very, very solid macro win. A very, very enjoyable series that Snow takes down 2-1. I'll be doing more of these series. I really, really appreciate your feedback. And if this is a style of content that you will enjoy, I'll definitely do more of them when I can find them. I'll make sure I can put them together. If you haven't already, please do hit the like button and subscribe. And until next time, thanks very much for tuning in. Take it easy. I'll see you soon.